Welcome to Chronicles of the Lost.
LAZ, make sure you subscribe to this new YouTube channel, Chronicles of the Lost, and learn about black kings and queens in the Bible.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Majahsty. Born and raised in New York City. Born and raised from Harlem originally. I got in the shelter in February of 2022. Now we're in 2024 of January, and I've been in there. And how I got in there was I was upstate. You know, I was living with a lady that I was dealing with. She had a 6-month lease, so we signed the lease together, but she was the co-owner because she had good credit at the time. She had a voucher, you know, believe it or not, she had a voucher for the joint. So, you know, I've been knowing her for a long time, and we were good friends. And you know, that ended badly because, you know, I'm here now. So that's how it started. I was upstate with a shorty. We was living together for like 6 months, and you know, just started to see her true colors coming out. You know, I learned a lesson. You know, never go into a woman's territory, because no matter how good you are as a dude, you know, they'll try to control you. Not all women are like that, but just this one I came across, that's what she was showing me. And once she started making me feel less than a man, I didn't want to be there anymore. And it got really bad. She called the authorities on me, state police. She told them that I had drugs in her couch, that I was hiding guns in her house. So the state police, they came right away, not knowing that I was well versed in the law. You know, I know my rights and everything. And they came, you know, saying, "Sir, you know, do you have any weapons in here?" Not knowing she did the same thing to her baby father. She said the same thing about him, and this led to her getting an open ACS case while I was up there. She had an ACS case with her son because she didn't know if you call the cops and both of you guys are having a domestic situation and the kid is involved, that they'll come and take your child away. So it was kind of like she told me everything that happened, and I started to see her play the same games with me. And so once I seen that, I was out the next day, and this was December. I gave her the rent. Rent was $16.50 up there. It was very nice. I was doing 1,000 of it, and she paid the rest. And she took that money, and I was like the last of my bread at the time, because what she had me doing, and she had me putting a lot of money into that spot as far as, you know, getting new toilets. I'm a plumber, so I do a lot of stuff with my hands. I was building, putting in new toilets for her, you know, shower heads, anything to make her happy, because I felt like, you know, you helping me, I'm gonna show you what type of man I am. I'm gonna be that dude that you need, because she always told me the story how dudes did her dirty, but the opposite was true of that situation. And yeah, once the boys came up there and they was like, "Sir, do you have anywhere else to go?" And I was just like, "Nah, I don't," because I'm coming from dealing with my siblings. You know, I had a very bad relationship with my siblings since I could remember, since I was real young. My mom, you know, she tried to turn my siblings against me. These are my sister, who I share the same father with, never liked me. We never got along. You know, it was a very hard relationship. And my mother ended up leaving her on the lease. It was a Section 8 crib, 3 bedrooms in Harlem. It was about $2,100 between me, my brother, and my sister. That can easily be split down the middle, but they just wasn't willing to live with me anymore, because they were just tired of dealing with me, I guess, in a sense. So I didn't want to be in that situation anymore, because I felt like I couldn't grow there. You know, I couldn't be the person I wanted to be. This is the thing, I was prepared for the cops when I dealt with Shorty, because my sister would call the boys on me every chance she get, just to try to get a restraining order against me, which she did succeed in getting a restraining order against me. Ended up going to court over it. She ended up showing her ass, you know, saying I was violent, I was this. She had police reports that said, you know, they didn't think I was a violent person, because every time they showed up, I was calm as I can be, never put my hands on my sister or my brother. It was just, that was their tactic, because they seen my mother do that to me. My mother would call the cops on me every time my brother and I would get in a scuffle. So she'd be like, "I'm calling the cops on you, Madge. I'm calling the cops on you." So I guess as we got older, they started to use that tactic. And I didn't really want to go through that anymore, because I didn't know where my life was headed, and I didn't want to be in the system. So I knew that was a bad situation, and I got out of that. So let's forward back to Upstate. I lived with her for 6 months. In December of 2021 is when I left her spot. We ended up getting a dog together, a German Shepherd. That's what really tore me apart. But you know, we didn't have no children together. The dog is what really hurt me because I love that dog. That dog was like my baby, and I let her stay. I let her keep the dog because that was the whole plan I had in my mind, is to have this dog up there living life, you know, good. And I couldn't bring that dog back to the Bronx, the gritty Bronx. So I ended up coming back to the city. What we started beefing about was order, really. I was trying to put some order into her life because, you know, she told me, you know, we spoke about living together. We spoke about doing things together. And she was like, I never had any order. Like, and the way she lived was like, she would eat whatever she want. She would smoke Black and Milds. And I'm just like, you know, that's hurting your health. It's crazy because, you know, you told me something, you know, don't deal with shorties that smoke Black. They'll set you up, right? So that's basically, I didn't see that then, but foreshadowing just the way, you know, she would conduct herself. I'm like, you know, she'd been through a lot of stuff. Her mom passed away when she was really young, so she'd been doing it on her own for as long as she could remember. I met her in Job Corps. This is the thing, I met her in Job Corps as I was getting my plumbing certificate, and we always had a good relationship, but I was that one dude that, you know, I didn't need her. I always told her, like, I don't need you for nothing. I knew her since she was 18, and she knew me since I was 23. We started living together when I turned 27. And she was 23 at the time, I believe. So I was just trying to sustain some order in the house. Like, you know, let's buy better food. Let's have a schedule, you know. And she had a hard time getting up for work, so she would depend on me to get her up when I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to come to the city because my job is in the city. So we started beefing over me. I would say putting order, but to her, I'm controlling. I'm being controlling by telling her, you know, you want to eat healthy. You know, you don't want to. She had a little son too, 2-year-old. You know, I briefly spoke about the ACS case, but she had a little son, and she was like, the father that, you know, the guy that she had this child with wasn't a upstanding dude. You know, he was in and out of jail. You know, he was with the gunplay and everything. He was a Rasta dude. And she was like, you know, I would love for my son to take after you. So I was like, that's no problem. You know, that I felt like that was God, you know, giving me a chance to show him that I could raise a young man. And I guess once she started seeing her son listen to me and take a liking to me, and how I didn't have to put my hands on him to get him to listen to me, that's when she started like really showing her true colors. Like, oh, this is not your child. Let me take care of him the way I want to take care of him. And mind you, he's 2, and she whooping his ass, you know, but he's been through a lot. Son, homie just got out of ACS, so it's like she's shocked, he in trauma. He was in ACS custody because they both, the shorty I was dealing with and her baby father, they both got locked up because she called the boys on him, saying that, you know, same thing she did to me, that he had guns in the house and that, you know, he was a drug dealer, which I don't know what the situation was to that, but what ended up happening was they ended up taking him out of her custody because when she called the police, they were saying about how he was grabbing the stroller, and she was like, you hurting the baby, while the dispatcher was on the phone. So the dispatcher heard that, and they made it a child endangering situation. So her son was out of her custody for about 6 or 7 months, and they gave her obligation, which was to get away from her baby father. And that was the reason she kind of gave me the what did you call it? The deal of, hey, you want to move up here with me, you want to go half on the rent with me. And I was like, oh, this is working in my alley, because I'm like, I don't want to be in the city no more. I'm trying to start a new life somewhere, you know, where it's mellow, I can get a new start. So now, hindsight, looking forward, it was helping her and it was helping me, of course. So that was the situation with her son. And so, you know, once I came in the picture and I didn't have to put my hands on this boy, he would listen to me. When I came to the crib, the first day I came to the crib, she told me he doesn't eat. He eats what he wants to eat. As soon as I got there, I played with the kid a little bit. I was like, you know, I try to give him the Gerber food, the vegetables with the mashed potatoes, and he ate it because I wasn't, you know, I seen how she would feed him. She would try to force the food in his mouth. I'm like, nah, you can't do that. And she was looking at me like, oh, you try. And then once I did it and it worked, the homie was eating good meals since then. And like, it's like she felt like I was being a better parent than her, but I really wasn't. I was just trying to show her there's other ways, because I came from a home that was abusive. I know, you know, what she think is right but there's other ways to do things. So the issue started coming when I started becoming a significant person to her son. Little 2-year-old boy, very sweet. I wish him nothing but the best. But that's where the problems started to come from, because it was an in-house thing, and it's like she would try to undo what I was doing. You never have to put your hands on a child. To my knowledge, there's always a way to speak to them. You don't have to beat children. You can just speak to them in a calming voice. It's a give and take relationship. I would play with the kid, and once I play with him, he will want to listen to me. When I was there the whole 6 months, she never played with her son. Never had time to play with her son. It was always a schedule. Wake him up, get him food, get him to daycare, and then, get him back in the home, give him a bath, put him to bed. So it's like he was on a schedule as a 2-year-old. And I'm like, he probably just wants that bonding time. So once we started bonding, she would come in between that, uproute him and, put him in his room to make it seem like it's something wrong with the child. And it just reflect to me how I was brought up, how my mom would blame me for being a child. Oh yes, see, that's the thing. She left prior. We had a big fight over COVID. She ended up catching COVID in the height of the situation. This is 21, I think, December, the end of November, the beginning of December. She ended up catching COVID, and she didn't want her son to get COVID because he has sickle cell. So he has a very weak immune system. It's deficiency. So I was telling her, stay away from your son. I go pick him up, got him from daycare, spent a $70 Uber to go pick up her son while she was working. She's a nurse, so she's around a lot of old people, so she thinks she got it from someone at her job. And then I ended up getting her son, bringing him home. But I'm like, this is the order thing. I'm telling her, like, I got him, don't worry. I'll give him a bath. I'll get him his food, just rest and lay down. She ain't doing that. She walking around the house on the phone with a girlfriend. She trying to see how I'm taking care of him, which is understandable, but I'm like, you don't look too well. You may want to stay away from him because you don't want to get him sick, because this could be life-threatening to him. So she was like, oh, you think I'm going to kill my child? Just making a, gaslight, whatever you want to call it, but I didn't see it like that. I just saw it as, you only have one person sick. You don't want to get two people sick. So she ended up getting sick and ended up throwing up, having a incident, and she's like, oh, you gonna clean that? And I'm like, shorty, I'm not cleaning that. With what? I'm like, I already told you, do what you gotta do, take care of yourself, I'm taking care of your son. And I started feeling like she was belittling me because she always talk about her credit. She always talk about how her credit was better than mine, how she had lots of money and stuff, and how she drive the Benz and shit. So she would throw that in my face, like, oh, I don't need you. And so I was like, you don't need me, take care of yourself. And she was like, you know what? She just started acting real wicked, like, you gotta get out my house. I'm like, shorty, I just gave you rent money. I ain't going nowhere till this month is up. I was like, give me a month and I'm going. She was like, no, I want you out right now. And then that's when she called the state police. But prior to calling the state police, she left the house for like a week. She tried to go to the the electrical box in the crib where it controls all the lights. She turned all them shits off, acting like I don't know how to work that. All the grocery food that we bought for that week, because we lived in Harriman, Upstate, so it's not like New York where everything is close by. You got a supermarket here, you got a deli here, you got to drive. So that's another thing I was trying to get her. It's like, yo, get food in the house so we not eating out every day. Shorty wanted to eat Outback Steakhouse on my dollar, you understand? And I'm like, I'm coming back in the city on the New Jersey Transit. That's bread. That's $100 there, back and forth. So it's like, and I'm doing a G of the rent, got a light bill. There's many things I'm paying for that I'm letting her stack her bread, because she's like, yo, I need to stack my bread for my son because I don't have his father. So I'm like, I'm understanding of that. But it's like, I feel like she was trying to suck my money dry, already having in her mind, like, I'm not going to be dealing with him for long, because how I was bonding with her son, how I was trying to tell her, like, let's go grocery shopping this day. Let's try to cut back on eating outside food. Let's go to the gym. She was a big woman. She was a black woman, but she was big, but she dealt with depression. And how she dealt with her depression is she would eat herself to death. And I was like, there's other ways of dealing with that. And I didn't see this as I was dealing, because I didn't judge her for that. But when you live with someone you really see how they are. And so yeah, she left for a week, and when she left for a week, she came back. And when she came back, she see that, you know, she threw all the food we went to the grocery store for that week for, she put it in a garbage bag, shit that wasn't even open yet, put it in a garbage bag, threw it in a dumpster, trying to leave a nigga stranded. She was trying to leave me stranded with nothing to eat. So I'm like, what? I paid bread for that. So I went in that dumpster, scavenged what was good, and put that shit back in the freezer. So when she came through, she seen that, she went straight to the freezer and fridge to see, you know, how this dude's still here eating. And then she seen the food in the fridge, and she was trying to re-throw the food out. And I'm like, nah, what are you doing? She was like, don't touch me, don't touch me. I could hear her on the phone with her girlfriend saying, call the cops on him, call the cops on him.
Don't touch my stuff.
Your stuff.
Don't touch
This
my
stuff I purchased, you
That's
threw it out in the
Don't touch my stuff.
garbage.
You're touching my stuff.
You threw it out in the garbage. I went to
Don't
go
touch my stuff.
retrieve it.
Don't touch my stuff. I want that. I'm getting that stuff.
You threw it in the garbage. I had to go into the dumpster to go get it.
I'm getting that
No,
stuff.
this stuff
Give me
I
that stuff.
purchased.
That's not. That's chicken
This
nuggets.
stuff
You did
was
not purchase
out
that.
in the
You
garbage.
did not purchase that.
This stuff
You
was
did
in the
not purchase
garbage.
that.
You threw everything
You
in
did
the
not
garbage.
purchase that.
You
did
threw
not
everything
purchase
in the
that.
garbage.
You did not purchase that. You need to give me my stuff.
This was
Give
stuff
me
was
my
in the
stuff.
garbage. You're being
Give me my
obnoxious.
stuff.
You're
That's
acting
not
like
so.
a
The stuff
child.
was- The stuff was in
It's
the
in the
freezer.
garbage. No, it was
I
in the
picked it up.
garbage. No,
I
it was in the
picked it up.
garbage.
I
I
picked it
went
up.
to the garbage to go
I
get it
picked it
because you
up.
thought you was
I
throwing
picked
out
it up.
fresh food. There's
Hold
homeless
on.
people in the
No.
world.
Hold on, it's okay.
It is okay.
Hold on. This is you.
Probably now.
In their corner, you know, their local agent is a small business owner
Oh,
too.
my receipts.
Glad you do.
Yep.
Let me read it to you. I heard about the money issues through.
And that was another thing. Her girlfriends was always in our relationship. Always in our relationship. I'm like, why are you listening to women with no man? Why are you listening to women who getting their ass beat? I'm not even putting my hands on you, but you listening to one of your girlfriends who's having a terrible relationship with her man. So that was just very distraught in me. Like it was antagonizing my mental, because I'm like, I'm better than this. I shouldn't be dealing with this, but I was in a time of need, and I thought I was building something beautiful with a woman that I love. And so when she came back, she seen the food in the fridge, and she ended up calling the state police, saying the same thing she told me about how she called her ACS case, was that, you know, her, and that's the thing, she made sure her son wasn't there. So I felt like she came back to do the same shit she did to her baby father without her son being there. So she took her son somewhere in the city, drove back upstate to Harriman, New York, and had a situation where she's throwing the food out the fridge. And I'm like, nah, you can't do that. And she holding my arm. I'm like, get off my arm. And she was like, oh, you touch me, you touch me. You know, as soon as she said, you touching me, but I'm touching you, I don't get it. So that's when she called the state police and was like, oh, this guy's in my home. He doesn't live here. He smokes weed. At the time I was smoking bud, but like a dime bag. I'll come to Harlem, you know, grab me an eighth, and that'll be all I need. But she made it sound like, you know, I was a kingpin, like I had pounds and ounces in her crib. So these dudes came quick, 6, 7 cops deep. I'm talking New York State Police. And when they came in there, they came with the gloves ready to go, because she, you know, she doing the water work. She crying. She's like, oh, I just want him out. I just want him out. They separated us. They asked us what was going on. I'm just like, this is new to me. Like, she went from 80 to 1,000 in less than 6 months. Like, every day I'm seeing signs, but I'm like, let me work on this. And they asked me, oh, you paying rent here? I showed them all the payments, because I'm the one paying the rent. I was like, listen, I'm paying rent. I just gave her the money for the rent. And once they told her he has the right to be here, she dropped to her knees and just started putting up a whole hysterical show. Once I seen that, I felt bad in myself, because I'm like, I don't want this. I don't need this strife. I don't need this aggravation of seeing a woman that she feel like I'm taking advantage of, because I told her from the beginning, I don't need you. But we can need each other in this situation, because we did need each other. But, you know, she thought she could do it without me. And the crazy thing is, later down the road, she hit me up trying to, you know, rekindle things, telling me how she was sorry. And I was just like, listen, mama, you don't know me no more. You do not know me no more. I wish you well. And that was the last time I spoke to her. And this was probably about 6 or 7 months ago. She reached out on IG, and it was just like, Is the good thing about this is I always brought some things back to the city. Like I always had a backup plan. Like if this don't work, I can't get too comfortable up here. So that was the thing. I couldn't take everything at once because I had a lot of stuff there, but I had way more stuff 3 months prior. So I put everything in a laundry bag, called one of my good mans up like, yo, bro, I'm coming through, King, because he stayed at my crib when he had issues with his lady, so he already knew what it was. I was like, yo, bro, I'm coming through. He was like, yo, don't say no more. Pull up. Pulled up, packed up all my stuff. I called an Uber. The Uber was like 150 from Harriman to Southern Boulevard in the Bronx. Got to the Bronx, stayed at my man's crib for like a good month, but I had more stuff up there, a lot of valuable stuff like my colognes, my Jordans, and I went back up there real quick because shorty good for changing locks, right? So when I went back up there, I went with my man. He drove the van up there, which got me up there quicker. And I had a key to the crib. So once I put the key in, the key didn't work. I'm like, damn, bitch changed the locks quick. Like, I'm telling you, I went probably back that week. That week I went back because I left a lot of valuable stuff like Jordans, my colognes, my tools for work, like stuff I couldn't put in the laundry bag. I had to leave because I couldn't take everything. So I went back up there, the locks was changed. And I remember we had a backyard with the slide door. And I always remember that slide door is always open. So I went to the back, slide door locked. I'm like, damn, slide door locked. So I tried the window next to the slide door, which was cracked a little bit, but it was real small. But I'm a flexible dude. Put that window open, put my leg in that joint, and I'm in the crib. You understand? I'm in the crib. Shit looking crazy. The crib looked different. Like, it looked like she packing her stuff because I think she was packing her stuff. I don't know what was going on, but a lot of stuff was just packed and looking different. The bedroom was all changed up, looking different. That's another thing. We bought a big queen size bed, and I brought new covers for it and everything. She got the covers on the bed. I was thinking about snatching them joints, but I'm like, nah, let her keep it. I wouldn't even lay on them joints. So I ended up getting the rest of my stuff, right? My Jordans, my cologne. I just took what was mine. Once I got back to the city, she must have been getting off of work. Called me, didn't pick it up. Left voice messages. Oh, you broke into my crib? You broke into my crib? She telling me I broke into the crib. I'm like, Shorty, I came to get my belongings. She was like, oh, how dare you? And start talking crazy about my moms, talking crazy about getting niggas to beat me up in the city. And then I ended up getting a call from the police department up there in Harriman, and they was asking me what happened with the situation. I banged it on them dudes. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't steal nothing from a crib. Tell me what I stole. It was like, sir, did you do this? You know, trying to get information over the phone. Banged it on them. It was like, don't come back up here because she has a restraining order. I was like, I don't need nothing from up there. I don't need nothing. So that was the end of that situation. I'm in the Bronx with my mans. I knew that was not going to last long because I'm like, my man, he likes his space. So I was like, listen, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And that's when I thought of the shelter. I'm like, are you ready to get into this shelter? And I heard all the horror stories about what goes down in this shelter. And to tell you the truth, it's not as bad as it seems. It's actually the staff that makes the shelter a dangerous place to be. And it's ran by a lot of women. The shelter system for men is run by a lot of women, starting from when you go to Bellevue on 2nd Ave and 15th Street to when you do the little quarantine section, ran by women, to when you actually get to the shelter is ran by women. I grew up with my mom's. My mom's been through a lot. She had me at a very young age, and when she had me, the earliest memories I can remember with my mom is being in the shelter. My mom got in the shelter with all of her children. She had me, my sister, and my brother at the time, and we was right there on 149th in the Grand Concourse. I think it's called the EAU. So we've been through it together, going from the shelter to the American Red Cross, and we finally landed a place on Lenox Ave, 124th and Lenox Ave. I lived there from the age of 9 all the way to 22, 23, but I wasn't always there because of the beef that, you know, me and my mom's had. I always had a shorty that I would stay with, and then that kind of upset her because it was like, oh, you know, he's not here. He got another woman that he's staying with, and I was paying the rent there, you know, still hitting her with the rent because I don't have to pay rent with shorty. Shorty had a house, you know, there's no rent to be paid. So once that started happening, I just seen, you know, her character just kept evolving. It kept getting more nastier, and so my mom had me when she was 18. And my mother had me at 18, so I remember going through the shelter system with her, the American Red Cross. So it's like we've been through it together. And you know, I always wonder what her life would be like if she didn't have children, because the apartment she got was all because she had children. So, you know, growing up, I always felt entitled to those places that we got because she didn't go through the shelters alone. We was there, sleeping on the floor, you know, motels with 780 roaches in a motel. I remember being in a motel where when we turned the lights on, it was just so many damn roaches that my mom just didn't sleep all night. And my mom has a phobia of roaches and mice, so we never had mice or roaches in the crib. So when we got to this place on Lenox Ave, you know, I'm a teenager now. You know, I'm going to Frederick Douglass Academy on 112th and Lenox. So, you know, I'm cool with the neighborhood. Never was a street dude, but I always had my grandmother to depend on because my grandmother, she worked a city job. She worked for the MTA, so she, you know, she always would hit me off with money. And I didn't, you know, I never really learned the value of a dollar until I started working with my grandfather. So the reason, you know, I didn't stay at my mom's crib a lot is because I always had somewhere else to live because it was beef between my brother, my sister. It was just constant beef, and I felt like I was the problem there. So, you know, I did two tours in Job Corps. The first time I went, I was 17. My mother actually hit me with the Job Corps thing because she seen that I wasn't doing well in school. This was like 9th grade, 2011. The first time I went to Job Corps, I went to Edison, New Jersey Job Corps. I met a lot of cool dudes. Even to this day, we still cool with. And when she sent me the first time, I didn't really see the totality of what it would do for my life. And once I got 23, I decided to go back, even though I was working a good job, making good money above minimum wage at that time. I think minimum wage was $7.50. I was making $12 at Job Corps, and I started paying my mother's rent. Rent was very cheap back then because only her name was on the lease and she had a voucher, so the rent was probably like $1,100 for a 2-bedroom. I'm hitting her off with $700 every month. This is after my first stint in Job Corps. I only last like 5 months. Last 5 months, I was a terror on that campus. I was bad. They couldn't control me, so they turned me. Like the 5th month I was there, I got sent back to New York City with nothing. And my mom was a manager at Trader Joe's, and she ended up getting me a job there. So that kind of helped me because I was making, you know, $12 an hour, and it kind of helped her too because it was alleviating the bills for her. And even though, you know, I'm working at Job Corps, we still beefing. You know, she's still, you know, down in my name. I'm telling her I want to go back to school to get my diploma, and she's telling me, you don't have time for that. You got to work. It was as if working was more important to her than me getting my education, and my education was more important to me than working. And so when I turned 23, I left Trader Joe's, and that kind of created more problems because now she got to deal with that full rent. And when that happened, she actually took my name off the lease when I got back from Job Corps. I actually completed it this time. I actually got my diploma, got my GED. I ended up getting my plumbing certificate, and I came back with a plan. But when I came back, I didn't have a home to come back to. As soon as I came back, she was like, you have to go. She was like, I don't want you here no more. I'm going to be leaving, and I'm leaving the house to your sister. And me and my sister never got along since I could remember. The same mother and father. Since I could remember, me and my sister never got along. And my sister's older than me. She's 1 year older than me. So she had my sister when she was 17, had me when she was 18. And yeah, my sister and I didn't get along, so that's where all the police calling started happening. The restraining order started happening. Had to go to court over that situation, and ended up, beating the case. They said, he's not a violent dude. I told them the history of how we never got along, and the case ended up getting dismissed. And that made me want to leave and go, upstate with Shorty, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this no more. So my mom moved to Ohio, left the house in shambles, with a whole beefing family. Now nobody lives in that apartment today. That apartment is actually rented out to someone new. My sister couldn't handle the rent, and my brother actually ended up leaving to live with his father. So at the end of the day, it was all for nothing. We all went to the shelter, spent years in the shelter, years in the American Red Cross, to just give up a controlled, stabilized rent apartment over hate. It was really over hate, nothing more. We hated each other. I can attest to that too. The stuff, they put me through with the police calling, me being the middle child, the bad duckling, whatever you want to call it. It was like everything was on my fault. It was always on my watch, but I feel like, it just happened like that. When you don't raise a house that's loving, it will divide itself no matter what. If you don't raise your children to love each other, they will end up hating each other. Even though me and my sister had the same father, and my younger brother, he had a different father, we never really got along, and even to this day, we still don't get along. When I was real young, I could remember back to being 7. My father would come and pick us up every weekend, me and my sister. But before he can pick us up, I remember my mother running us through things. Don't eat. She would say, don't eat. If he offers you food, don't eat. Tell me everything that happens over there. She just had us being real apprehensive against my father. But I love my pops. My pops was a cool dude. Even to this day, he's the coolest man I ever met in my life. So I never would do what she told me to do. I would eat when I was at my father's house. I would have a good time, and my sister, she would just make the worst of the situation, because my sister, she really identifies with my mother. Even to this day, I see a lot of my mother ways in my sister. So I think that's another reason that, it was so much beef, because when I would go over there, my sister would always report back to my mom like, oh, Madge was eating. Majahsty, he was showing dad love. He was having a good time, and then my mom would like treat me bad when I get back there. Like, oh, you like being with him more than me? Basically making me choose which parent was better. But I'm like, he had me when he was 24. My pops served in Desert Storm. He's a Navy veteran. He worked on Wall Street when I was younger. Just a real stand-up dude, but he went through hard times. He was in the streets at a point, and that's another situation. When he was in the streets, before I was born, my sister was born, 93. I was born in 94. So what ended up happening with that situation with my mom and my pops was that when my father was in the street, my mom took it upon herself to deal with men that he was selling drugs to, or buying weight from. And it was a very strenuous situation, because these dudes, they wanted to line my pops. And my pops came to my grandmother's crib one day to come pick me up, and he seen one of the dudes from the block that he had beef with, and he felt like she would set him up or something like that. So that's a reason he left my mom's, because she was dealing with dudes that he was dealing with in the street. And it didn't go in his favor. He had to move from Harlem, and he ended up moving to Burke Ave when I was around 6 or 7. And so he would come and pick us up every week, and I had the best times. This was when NBA Live came out, 2003. This is when GTA Vice City came out, and me and my pops would just be on the game all day, and my sister would just always be like, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. So he would have to cut the whole joint short to take us both home, because my mom's not gonna allow just one child to come back. She want to do, we both got to come back, and that would just make me upset with her. Like, damn, why are you cutting my weekend short with my pops? And I remember one day I was probably like 7 or 8, and I don't know what happened, but my mom just told me and my sister to duke it out, like to fight. And I'm like, I'm not fighting her. I'm like, I don't want to fight her. And I just remember crying like I don't want to fight her. And we had to fight, and my sister, I just let her wail on me. I just let her hit me. And ever since then, I was just like, nah, that's not gonna be happening no more. So every time she tried to like get crazy with me, I just, we'll get it in. After that, I was like, oh, you don't have no love for me if you're willing to beat me up. But I just think, it was designed that way. feel like my mother wanted us to hate our father. I don't know why. I still don't know why to this day, but I look just like my father. Like, me and my father are twins. My father's been married since he left my mother, over 20 years. And when he introduced me to his wife, she was like, he looks just like you when you were young. So I always think, maybe my mom didn't like seeing me because I look like my father, so she tried to take that out on me. Yeah, when I first met my father, it was, it's not like when you're on the phone, it's different. You want to show love. The voice, I can remember his voice from when I was 7 to I got back with him when I was 23. So all those years without him, it just felt like home. But when I met him, it was very, very weird in a sense where, he felt like he let me down, because of what I've been through. After I started telling him, how I was raised and what my mother did to me, he got very angry. He was talking about, like, I want to kill her for what she did to you, and how, she turned my daughter against me. And when I went to him to forgive him. That's the thing I did with both my parents, to really relieve myself of all the pain I was feeling. Before I left to job court the second time, when I quit the job at Trader Joe's, I went into my mother's room and I just sat down in her room, and I just, I broke down, and I told her, like, the way you raised me was very detrimental. You didn't give me no plan for my life. You never supported me in anything I wanted to do. And this is the reason I turned out the way I turned out. And she just basically, cleaned her hands and said, you a man now. You made all the decisions in your life that you made. And that kind of made me feel better, because I felt like I said what I had to say, and it wasn't a burden to me anymore. It was like I felt relieved of the pain and anger that I had towards her. And once I did it, I just told her I love her. And that was kind of one of the last sentimental conversations I had with my mother. Even then, it was a blank stare face. It was your fault, Majahsty. Your life is your fault. The choices you made had to do with you, but not knowing these choices I made was me as a child. These choices I made was because I had no direction. And she didn't really say nothing after that. She just kept saying, you your own man now. She kind of like wiped her hands together and said, I'm done with you. And this was when I was 23, because I was paying the rent there. I was basically letting her stash bread, but I was like, I need to get my diploma. I'm like, I need to get a trade, because when I was young, I used to work with my grandfather. He owned a plumbing business, and I seen how much money I made from that, and I seen how I was able to go anywhere with that skill. Even when I went to Trader Joe's, they threw me in the warehouse because I was just good with my hands. I didn't mind working. My grandfather and my grandmother instilled my work ethic in me. I got that from them, because they never wanted to see me getting in the streets. So they just always made sure I had a job, always made sure I had money in my pocket. And I guess that wasn't my mother's plan for me. She never had a plan for me. The first time I asked her, what should I do to make money? She was like, figure it out. And I figured it out. I went to my grandparents, so I was very blessed to have them. Ledger that. And once I went into her room and I told her that, I was relieved of her. I didn't need her for anything. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like a child anymore to her. I felt like I was becoming the man that I knew I could be. Now the big dilemma was getting the same way with my father. Like, I had to seek my father. I had to find him. So I ended up going on this radio show, and they ended up helping me locate my father. And how they did that is they found his name, and they said, he lives here, this is where he's at. But I didn't know how to contact him, because I'm like, I don't know his number. I don't just want to go out to Connecticut and pull up on him. Like, I don't know how that's going to look. So I ended up going on Facebook. I knew he had brothers, because I remember my uncles when I was younger. So I ended up looking up their names on Facebook, ended up reaching out to one of them. And just like that, they gave me his number. And I guess he already had my number, because once I called him, he picked up right away. He seen it was a New York number. I'm like, oh, this is Majahsty. And he's just like, oh, it's my boy. It's my boy. Hey, what's going on? He was like, oh, I hope you don't think I forgot about you. And I'm like, I don't really want to talk over the phone. When can I see you? And from there, I think it was like maybe a month and a half, he invited me out to his house. He lives in a nice, beautiful house paid for in Connecticut. Beautiful. Met my other brothers. crazy thing is, the brother that I met, that he has the same little boy that I seen when we had a place in Burke Avenue. His name is Nestor. Same little young boy, where he's with the same woman, married. And it's the crazy thing. I was like, I remember you. And he's too young to remember who I was, but his wife remembered me. And of course, my pops, he says like, oh, it's my boy right here. And as soon as I seen him, he got me from the bus terminal, and he was like, you home now, no more worries. It's like he already knew what I was going through when I was away from him, was just a way for me to get back to him. And I remember it was around Thanksgiving, and he was taking my brothers to basketball practice, and I'm in the kitchen talking to his wife about what I've been through. And as soon as he walked through the door, I just broke down. I was like, I've just been with him for a whole 2-3 hours, but it was like I broke down, because I'm like, damn, this is the parent that I should have been with. This is the parent that should have raised me. The way they go on trips, the way they house look with pictures, they pray at the tables. Like, this is what I needed. This stability in my life is what I needed. So when he came in the crib, I just grabbed him by his neck, and I just gave him the strongest hug. And he was like, oh, you're hugging me too tight, son. You're hugging me too tight. And I was like, I need this. And I was just like, Pops, I forgive you for not being there, but I love you, and I just hope we can move on from here. And his response was the response I wish I got from my mother. He was like, I'm sorry, but we can make things better going forward. And that was just, it relieved me. I didn't have a burden towards him. Not that I had a burden towards him in the past, but I just wish he never gave up on me. But to find out he never really gave up on me. That last time I seen my father when I was young, my mother told him that he's with too many women, because I guess my sister was telling my moms that he has a new woman and stuff, and my mom didn't like that. So once he picked us up, I remember them arguing at the train station on Burke Avenue, and I didn't know what they was arguing about because I'm too young. So he filled me in as I got older. He was like, I had to, because she was trying to keep me away from the family that I had. She was like, you're with too many women, and my son is at an impressionable age. And he was like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And he was like, my son's gonna, if he wants to be with me, he's gonna be with me. And as I got older, I was always, after that day, she didn't tell me nothing. Like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna see my father this weekend. I'm gonna see my father. She was like, no, he don't want to see you. You don't want to see it. I'm like, what? That don't make no sense. So me, I'm getting agitated. I'm acting out. I'm being bad, and that's when the ass whoopings come. But the ass whooping started to stop once I stopped asking about him, and I just blocked him out my memory when I was young. But as I got older, every man needs every boy needs a father. Every man needs his father in his life, because it's someone he can role model himself after. I feel like a lot of dudes, they get caught up in the street life because those are their role models. Those are the ones they pick up from. There's no role models for the young black man, so we go to what we know, the music. We go to the TV, not knowing that the only man you should be embolizing in your life is your father.
It took me to become a grown man for me to realize that my mother was too young when she had me. Mm-hmm. My mom's had me at 20 years old.
Yeah, it's too young.
Your mother had you at 18. By 4 years old, I had a severe accident, head trauma, where I fell, that I spoke about in my documentary, where I fell and bust my head open and almost died. Wow. By like 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
Because I was outside at 9, 10 o'clock at night, because my mother was young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she wanted to be out in the streets and hang out in the streets.
Yeah.
So it took me to be a grown man to realize, when we have kids too young, our kids suffer.
Amen.
And that is a whole fact, bro.
That's word.
Even your father was young. 24, 23 years old to become a father, even that's young.
Yes, sir.
And it's too young, because you don't really know so much yet at 22, 23, let alone 18, 20 years old. You don't know enough to be able to raise a child correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It takes being here on this planet for some time before you're equipped to raise a child.
That's right.
So, we got the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
From that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. But the outlet that I had was my grandparents. My grandmother was I think she was 42 when I was born. So that was my mother. You know, my grandmother was the woman I got my character from. My grandfather was the man that I got my character from. That was the people who told me to say yes sir, yes ma'am. Those are the ones that told me turn the other cheek. Those were the ones that told me, you know, you gotta work for your money, you know, you're gonna earn $1, you know. So I was thankful for them, and my mom was just too young to understand that. And it kind of, you know, it's a vicious circle, because when I got with that woman upstate, I was trying to give to her give her son what I never had growing up, which was order, because she had her son at a young age, which was 21. So I'm like, you know, the same order that I wish I had when I was little, trying to give little mans. And some women reject that because, you know, order is hard to put into a woman's life, because, you know, they run off their emotions. You know, they feel like they want to do what they want to do, even though they can't. You have children now, not that your life stops, but a life begins when you have children. And that's a lot of things the black women and old women have to learn in general, that, you know, children are the future. You set them up nice, you'll be set up nice.